How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping another video. Like 10 to midnight now, guys. Still on my beer. Been a long day. I'm getting my head down soon. The headline for this is prison news, guys. It's about PAVA spray again, and it's only just been announced, well, today, and it's already been shut down, and we'll see why. Prison pepper spray plan risks inmate safety, the rights body says. Use of PAVA spray by prison officers could cause pain and serious injury, the UK watchdog says. Human rights, guys, here we go. The rollout of pepper spray to prison officers across England and Wales puts inmates at risk of inhumane treatment. Well, they're already getting that anyway. The head of the UK's human rights watchdog has said. David Isaac, the chair of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, said the use of PAVA spray, which is the spray that's been rolled out in January, that's coming in January, a synthetic incapacitant pepper spray to control behaviour in jails could cause harm and serious injury. Rory Stewart, the prisons minister, announced on Tuesday that $2 million will be spent on arming every officer in adult jails with PAVA after a pilot by the prison service. Isaac said, "We understand that prison officers need methods to protect themselves and other prisoners, but such protections must not be at the expense of the basic rights of prisoners. Everyone has the right to live without fear of inhumane treatment." Well, not prisoners, they don't. And the use of PAVA spray in detention environment is a way of controlling behaviour that causes pain and can seriously injure. He said the EHRC wrote to and met with prison service last month to express its reservations about the rollout, and was disappointed there had been no further debate before the announcement. They rush it through, guys, like they always do. There's been no figures saying that this PAVA spray that was being piloted in 4 prisons works. They're just rolling it out, coming in January 2019. Making PAVA spray available to every prison officer increases the risk that it might be used inappropriately, which it will. And if it's used inappropriately, which it will, inevitably will, it's going to see violence by prisoners to prison officers, and it's going to go off. Isaac said adding to the ERH would be asking the prison service again for information about the trial. He's going to talking about figures and show that it actually works, so that we can access the adequacy of the restrictions and safeguards for PAVA spray use. Nick Hardwick, a former chief inspector of prisons, echoed Isaac's concerns. "I heard today that staff are now going to be given PAVA spray. What an admission of failure," he told the annual conference of the Prison Governors Association, or the PGA. "I don't dispute that things have got so bad that that may be necessary, but we should resist the argument that greater use of force of any kind is a penalty compared with enough experienced staff creating relationships." Earlier, John Podmore, a former governor who turned Brixton Prison in South London from Britain's worst performing jails into one of the most improved, said the move is not going to help the control that's been lost in many prisons at the moment. He pointed out that some large prisons, such as Wormwood Scrubs in London, had 40 officers in charge of about 1,200 inmates. Prisons run on cooperation, they don't run on coercion. They run on staff's personal relationships, and unfortunately, there's currently in many prisons a culture of conflict. And pepper spray will make it much worse. It's a downward spiral, he told BBC Radio 4 Today programme. Podmore said, "The problem was that we've gone too far. Too many prisoners have got nothing to lose. They've got nothing on the inside and nothing on the outside, and that's what we need to address." Thousands of prison officers took part in a walkout last month in protest at conditions in jails in England and Wales. Not about conditions, guys, it's about the record levels of violence, because they don't like it, even though they contributed to it with a smoking ban. And obviously their own like putting their hands on prisoners and stuff. So there's been a rise in the numbers of assaults and self-harm, as well as an increased number of phones and drugs being seized. In the year to March, there was a record 9,003 attacks on prison staff, up 26% from 2017, with 892 classed as serious. Overall, attacks in prison rose to a record of 31,025 last year, almost twice the 15,644 assaults that were recorded in the year to March 2008. And up 16% from the previous year, according to the most recent figures from the Ministry of Justice. Guys, like I say, by introducing PAVA spray, right, it's going to, there's two lots, right, prisoners in prison are either they just get on with it and they get their head down, and then you've got other prisoners that their attitude is it's us versus them, us being prisoners, them being prison officers, right? And by arming prisoners, they're bringing in, guys, rigid bar handcuffs, police-style handcuffs, right? There's already extendable batons in certain prisons already, right, which is flown under the radar, right? Now they're being given PAVA spray. The National Chair of the Prison Officers Association wants tactical use of taser in prisons. You have got 7,000 experienced staff have left the job. You've been given babies. Kids that worked in McDonald's that have got no life experience, that are wet behind the ears, putting them on wings with hardened criminals, hardened cons, masters of manipulation, right? You've got mental health, you've got the deterioration of conditions, you've got squalid conditions, you've got, like I say, prisons are, it's anger, it's frustration, and we're angry at the system. Can't get at the system, so we attack the uniform. And I don't condone attacks on officers, but I completely understand why they happen. And today, I've been speaking to former prisoners. Some of you guys have put me in contact with them. I've spoken to friends that are still locked up in prison. And their attitude is absolutely like it's going off. The battle lines have been drawn. We're going to hit them hard. They think they're coming down on us. We're going to fight back. And that's the attitude of prisoners. But this academic people in charge of the Ministry of Justice that are in charge of prisons can't see it. They're residing over prisoners, guys, that they can't relate to. They're born in middle class, silver spoon, fucking privately schooled, live in private homes with CCTV camera. They have no experience of crime. And yet they reside over people that, before they've ever been offenders, they've been victims, because a lot of offenders have been through care, sexually abused, physically abused, emotionally abused, problems with addiction, been homeless, being bullied. Before we've ever been offenders, we've been victims, right? And then you put these posh, educated, middle-class snobs residing over us. They can't relate to us. If I was in their position, I would want it to be treated as if my son or daughter was in prison, right? I don't have kids, but I'm saying hypothetically. And the fact is, guys, prisons should be places of reform and rehabilitation. Rehabilitation, guys, and I said this in the previous vlog, is a made-up word. It's a bullshit word. It's a politician's word. So people like the Justice Secretary David Gauke can wear suits and feel important. And the same with the prisons minister. It sickens me, guys, to me core. Let me know what you think. You've got loved ones in prisons. You've been in prison. Do you think, right, that by arming prison officers, do you think it's going to quell violence? Do you think because a prison officer has got PAVA spray on his belt that the prisoner's going to think, oh, don't really want to get sprayed with that, so I'm going to keep my hands to myself? Right? It's not stopped people attacking. Police officers have had it for decades, right? For well over 10, 15 years, right? They've had the capture spray that they've got, the CS gas now, capture spray. It's not stopped people attacking police officers, has it? So why is it going to stop people attacking prison officers? Prison, like it says there, prisons get on because of cooperation, right? If prisoners want you to make a stand and all the prisoners come together, they take over the prison like that with their eyes closed in their sleep. But like I say, it's cooperation. Prisoners make prisons run how they run. And most of them are just locked up 22, 23 hours a day anyway. Squalid conditions, right? Brutalising prisoners in squalid conditions and then hammering them with weapons and stuff, because that's the way it's got. They use the rounds and stuff like that at the moment. They've got body-worn cameras, guys. Guess what? When they're kicking the shit out of a prisoner, guess what? It gets turned off. They don't turn it on. Or if they have turned it on by accident, they ring security and security erase the footage. But then if someone attacks them, oh, it's all record, red light, red light, red light. Guys, something's got to give, right? And like I say, I don't like the idea of the PAVA spray, but on the flip side of that, I know what's going to come. So let's toast, because there's violence afoot, man. It's going to happen. Do you think it needs to happen? Am I completely wrong? Am I right? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the PAVA spray? What are your thoughts on the rigid bar handcuffs that are coming in? Do you know about the extendable batons? A lot of people don't even know that there's extendable batons. What do you think about the Prison Officers Association National Chair? What do you reckon about him saying that he wants tactical use of taser? So when prisoners can't comply, when they're put in a direct order to them, they haven't got the taser thing hasn't happened yet, but it wouldn't surprise me, guys. Like I say, the prisons minister's up the arse of the pre-08 chairman. He works at Liverpool Prison, or HMP Liverpool, Walton Jail as we know it, right? He's a horrible, horrible man. I was on the radio with him this morning. They kept us separate this time because last time we went at it and stuff like that. He was telling me that I didn't know what I was talking about. But if you look at Twitter today, it's quite obvious. I do know what I'm talking about, and a lot of people agree with me, and a lot of people are condemning the Ministry of Justice for rolling out. They've given in to the Prison Officers Association. They lobbied for the smoking ban. Violence is been bad anyway, but has the smoking ban contributed to record levels of assaults in prison? Absolutely. Twofold. By banning tobacco, you're antagonising and poking prisoners. Right, you're taking the burn, which is a stress relief, and it's currency, and people making money off it. They ban it, it then becomes contraband. So obviously there was violence after they took the smoking packs from prisoners. That increased violence because stress levels and stuff like that. So then by banning it, it becomes contraband. Where you've got contraband in prison, guys, yes, you guessed it. You've got debt. Where you've got debt, you've got fear, intimidation, bullying, and violence. And violence is on the increase. The POA asked for it. My advice, be careful what you wish for. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. It is going to go off. It needs to go off. I'm sorry, but it does. I don't call for people to kick off. Obviously, absolutely not. I'm not stupid. I understand that I could help be account within the eyes of the law if I was to say something that's stupid. But like I say, guys, do I think there's going to be violence? Oh, I know there is. I know there is. How long, guys, once this PAVA spray is introduced, before a prison officer's unarmed, they get his handcuffs, they get his fucking pepper spray, they get his keys, then they're letting themselves onto the wings. The tornado's going to come in and stuff like that, which takes time. By that time, they're using the PAVA spray, they're walking forward, bam, 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 getting it in their eyes, everyone's fucked up. It's going to cause problems, guys. It's going to cause violence. It's a breach of the prisoner's human rights. If I was a prisoner inside now, I'd be citing my human rights to my lawyer, be pulling a judicial review of the prison. Well, I'd probably have to wait till January till it comes in. But I would be kicking off, 100%. Not going to take it lying down, are they? Prisoners, this is going to... It's the camel... Bloody hell, the smoking ban was the straw that brought the camel's back. This has just lit the powder keg that has been the prison system. It's going to go off. I genuinely believe it's going to go off. What do you think? I'm speaking to people in prison today, former prisoners, current prisoners, people off YouTube, subscribers. Everyone's hitting me up, man, telling me what they think. Absolutely crazy, guys. Let me know what you think anyway. Like, comment, subscribe. Cody out. Bottoms up. Troubles ahead.